Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible for everyone? Am I audible for everyone? So we already started the OOPS concept. So under the OOPS concept, we covered about the variables, and the second part we covered about the types of variables and methods we have completed. Methods we have completed, and like last session we have completed about the constructors as well. Constructors as well. So these are the the OOPS concept. First, like we discussed with the object and class. What is the difference between the what does it mean by class and what does it mean by object? So that is the first session. After the next session, we discussed about the variables. What does it mean by variable? What are the types of variables? We have discussed. After the next session, we have discussed about the methods. What does it? Huh? Hmm? Hello, admitter. Oh. Hmm? Oh, Rogers. Yeah. Now you joined. Okay. In the OOPS concept, we started the OOPS concept as well. Last four session back onwards, we started the OOPS concept. In the OOPS concept, the first we discuss about the class. What is the class, and and I would say what is the object. So this is the basic concept we already discussed. What is the difference between the class and object? Next, variables. What does it mean by variables? And uh, I would say under the variables we have the types of variables like instance variables, static variables, and local variables. Okay, and then next we discussed about the methods. Methods. In the methods we have the two types. One is the static methods. Second one is the instance method. Second one is the instance method. And then after that, the last session we discussed about the constructors. Generally, constructors are used to initialize the initialize the instance variables. To initialize the instance variables. To initialize the instance variables. So in the constructor, it is the special method in the Java. It is the special method in the Java. It is used to initialize the instance methods. It is used to initialize the instance variables. Same, I would say, constructors don't have the return type. If you declare the constructor with the return type, then compiler it will treat it like as a method only. That's why constructor don't have any return type. Constructor don't have any return type. Okay. Next, name. Class name and constructor name should be the same. Class name and constructor name should be the same. That is the second point you should remember. Third point, JVM. Whenever you create the object, then constructor will be created default. Constructor will be created default by the compiler. If compiler not, I would say if you at the time of writing the code, if you create the constructor, then compiler won't create. If you not create the constructor, then compiler will create the default constructor. Compiler will create the default constructor. These are the points you should remember. And parameters, if you comes under the parameters, so in the again constructors are divided into two types: zero parameterized constructor and parameterized constructors. If you don't pass any parameters, then we can say it is the zero parameterized constructor. If you pass any parameters, then we can say that is the parameterized constructors. Then we can say parameterized constructors. So these are the concepts we discussed till now: variables, types of variables, methods, constructors. So these all the concepts also comes under the OOPs only. These are the basics for the OOPs. Before going to start the OOPs, we should aware of what does it mean by class, what does it mean by object, what does it mean by variables, and what does it mean by methods, what does it mean by constructors. These are the basics for the OOPs principles. These are the basics for the OOPs principles. After that, we'll have the very simple concept, that is the access specifiers. Access specifiers. So this is also very important concept. This concept also you should aware before going to start the OOPs concept. So after this, we will discuss about the OOPs principles. We have the OOPs principles 4. First one is we will discuss about the encapsulation. We will discuss about the encapsulation. Encapsulation meaning combining variables and methods as a single unit. Every program in Java, whatever you are writing, the every program, you can say example for the encapsulation. Without combining of methods and variables, we don't write any program. In Java, every Java program, we can say example for the encapsulation. We can say example for the encapsulation. We can say example for the encapsulation. Combining variables and methods as a single unit. As a single unit. So example for the encapsulation is Java classes. Whatever we are writing in the programs, so every class we can say example for the encapsulation. We can say example for the encapsulation. Next concept, we will discuss about the inheritance. Inheritance meaning inheritance. Inheritance meaning extending the properties from parent class to child class. So I would say in the inheritance we will have multiple types like single level inheritance, hybrid inheritance, multi-level inheritance. So hierarchical inheritance will have the multiple types. The main advantage for the inheritance is the code reusability. You can write one time, you can use multiple times. We can use multiple times. That is the main advantage for the inheritance. And third concepts we will discuss about the polymorphism. We will discuss about the polymorphism. Poly means many. Morphism means phases, multiple. I will third concepts we will discuss about the polymorphism. Like objects can exhibit multiple behaviors. Multiple behaviors based on the situations. Based on the situation. So in the polymorphism, again we can categorize into two types: compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. Compile time and runtime. Again we can categorize into two types: compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. After that we will have the abstraction. Abstraction meaning hiding the unnecessary data and providing the useful information. Providing the useful information. Hiding the unnecessary data, and providing useful information. Providing useful information. Providing useful information. So we can achieve the abstraction with the help of interfaces and classes. Interfaces and classes. So these are the four principles. We can say these four are the OOPS principles. OOPS principles. These are the OOPS. Before going to start these OOPS principles, these are the fundamentals, like the difference between the class and object. You should be aware of the variables, you should be aware of the methods, and you should be aware of the constructors, and you should be aware of the X specifiers. After once you get the awareness of these concepts, then only you can able to start the OOPS principles. These four are the OOPS principles. These four are the basics for the OOPS principles. These four are the basics for the OOPS principles. These are the OOPS principles. Got the clarity? Now we'll discuss about the access specifiers. Access specifiers. So access specifiers, basically it is used to specify the accessibility of our classes, variables, methods and constructors. Basically it is used to specify the accessibility of our classes, methods, variables and constructors. So this is the main the definition for the access specifiers. What is the purpose of the access specifiers? We have in Java. The purpose of access specifiers in Java, it is used to specify the accessibility accessibility of our classes, methods, variables and constructors. So we have four types of access specifiers in Java. We have four types of access specifiers in Java. What are there? First one is the public, second one is the private, third one is the protected, and fourth one is the default. Fourth one is the default. Fourth one is the default. And we'll see one by one, like what does it mean by public and what does it mean by private, what does it mean by protected, what does it mean by default. We'll see one by one. The main purpose of access specifiers, it is used to specify the accessibility of our classes, methods, our variables and constructors. So this is the main purpose of the access specifiers. We'll discuss one by one. So first I will start with the public. Like if you whenever will go for the public, it is used to first thing, it is used to access. It is used to specify the you can access globally. It is used to specify the global access of our classes, our variables, comma, our methods, comma, constructors and constructors and constructors and constructors. So in the under the access specifiers category, like we have the four types of access specifiers: public, private, protected, and default. So in the public, it is used to specify the global access of our classes, variables, methods, and constructors, constructors. And so we'll see one by one. Next, what does it mean by private? Private also it is used to specify the local access, local access of our variables, comma methods, and constructors, constructors. And next two thing we have the protected. Protect is also like protected data members, protected members we can access within the package and subsystem subclass. Next, default. Default meaning if you don't mention any access specifier, then it will treat as a default. It will treat as a default. If you don't mention any access specifier, then we can say default specifier. Default specifier. So we'll start one by one. Specifiers is a very simple topic. Uh, like the main purpose of the access specifiers are it is used to specify the accessibility of our classes and our methods, our variables, and constructors. Constructors. So we have four types of access specifiers in Java. First one is the public, second one is the private, third one is the protected, fourth one is the default. These are the four access specifiers we have in Java. So first one it is used to specify the global access. Global access means we can access within the class, outside the class also. We can access anywhere. We can access anywhere. It is used to specify the global access of our classes, variables, methods, and constructors. Methods and constructors. Like I will take two classes and I will show you. Like I will take one. This is the one folder. I will create two files. One is the employee file, and this is the file I am taking. The file name employee.java. Employee.java. Okay. I am opening this file. So first we are discussing about the public class and employee. Whenever you mention the public as the class name, you should the file name and the class name should be the same. That is the mandatory step. That is the mandatory step. Instead of private, instead of public, if you take the private, the compiler will throw the error. Throw the error. Why? Because like whenever you are mentioning the class, if you mention the public, then the class name, the file name and class name should be the same. File name and class name should be the same. So for example, here I am taking the public, I am saving the file, I am saving the file. If I open the command prompt here, cmd, I am opening the command prompt and I am compile the file, employee dot java. So the file has successfully compiled. Instead of Instead of public, what will be the the compiler will do? It will compile or not compile, we'll see. So I am saving the file. The same I am going the command prompt. If you observe, if you observe, modifier private is not allowed here. Guys, are you observing? The modifier private is not allowed. Meaning the class name should be public only. That is the first point you should remember under the public category. We can't take, so that is the first point I am writing here. That is the first point I am writing here. First point, we can't take in the private category. I will write, we can't take private for the class name. Private as class name. Here in the public, we can take public as class name. Public as class name. Okay. Next, what about the variables? First, we'll discuss about the methods and then we'll go for the variables as well. Next, I will take one method. The method name is M1. Okay, the method name is M1. And from here to here, this is the scope of the method. This is the scope of the M1 method. Now, if like for this method, I am not mentioning any like access specifier. Then it will treat it like as the default one. Now, instead of this one, I am mentioning the public. So, if I mention the public, what does it mean? If I mention the public, what does it mean? We can access we can access within the class or outside the class also we can access. Okay, here I will write some dummy message like system dot out dot println. I am writing the some dummy message like emp m1 method calling and m1 method calling, and instead of private I will take the public. Okay, I am saving the file, and same way I will take the constructor also, and while writing the constructor name and class name should be the same, employee, and this is similar to method type only. Here I will pass the one message. I will pass system dot out dot println. Here I will mention emp constructor calling. emp constructor calling. Okay, emp constructor calling. So till now what I am doing, here I am not mentioning any access specifier. Here I will mention the access specifier as public. Okay, I am taking one method, that is the m1 method, and the second one is the I am taking the constructor. Okay, so public meanings if I mention the public, I can able to access the another file also. So same way I will take the another file. The file name is, I would say, I will take another file. So employee is the one file. Here I will take the another file. The file name I will take as the solution.java, and I will open this one. Mention public class name solution, and main method. I will take the main method like public static void main is the main method, and I would say I will take the string args. In the employee class, I have one constructor and I have one method. So here I have mentioned access specifier is the public. Access specifier is the public. Public meaning we can access different files also. Different files also. So I am trying to call those methods to here. Those methods to here. Okay. This one is the M1. We have the M1 method. M1 method is the static method or instance method. M1 method. M1 hmm? Instance method. So how will you access the instance method? Meaning how will you call the instance method? Object creation. Object creation. So in this case also in the employee class we have the M1 method. How will you call this M1 method in the solution file? We need to create the object for the employee class. We need to create the object for the employees class. Okay, same way I am creating the object for the employee class. Employee e equal to new employee, and I am mentioning the e dot m1, e dot m1. Okay, e dot m1. Okay, fine. We have the solution file, and if I open the command prompt here, and if I compile the file like a solution file, solution.java. So the file has compiled, and if I run the file, what will be the result? If I run the file, what will be the result here? Whatever we have written, the main method, M1 method. In the M1 method, we have passed the some dummy message like emp M1 call. The same whenever you are executing the file like solution file, like the same dummy message will be printed on the console. The same way I am going here, Java solution. If you observe constructor and emp M1 method call, M1 call, meaning like whenever you mention the public as a access specifier, we can call those variables, methods, constructors. We can, like I would say, in the different files also we can access. Different files also we can access. This one, anyone confusion? Like constructor, I am mentioning the public, and M1 I am mentioning the, like instead of public I will take right now private. I will take the private. Save the file, and save the file. Save the file. So if you observe right now, if you read the error, line number 7, M1 has the private access in employee. In employee, whenever you mention the private, we cannot access in the different file. Private meaning local. We can access local only. Local meaning we can access only within the file. We can access only within the file. Whenever you mention the public, then only you can able to access different files. If you mention the private, you can able to access within the file only. You can able to access within the file only. Okay, I will go here, employee, like now also I am, instead of employee I will mention the private, and same solution file also I would say I am going here, and same Java C. If you read again, two errors meaning constructor also I am mentioning the private access specifiers. If anything you have like variables and methods, we can access only within the file. Okay, so got the clarity like about the public and private. For example, here I will take m1 method, and here I will take one more method. That method is m2 method. I will take public m2 method. I will take and here I would say I will call the m1 method here, like m1 dot save the file, and I will go here. Here I will mention the, so instead of v dot m2, now if I run the file, then what will be the result? What I am doing till now, m1 is the private access specifier. So I have taken one more method, that is the m2 method. In the m2 method, under the m2 method, I am calling the m1. I am using the m1. So m1 is the private. Private meaning we can use within the file only. We can use within the file only. And we have the m2 method. M2 method access specifier is the public. Public. So m1 I am using. M1 is the private. This m1 method I am using within the file only. Within the file only. And this m2 is the public. I am calling this public in the solution file. In the solution file. Now if I compile the file, if I run the file, then what will be the result? Huh? Same. It will throw any errors, or it will give any result. Hmm? So I will tell one more time. M1 is the private access specifier. Private meaning we can use within the file only. I am mentioning the private access specifier, and M1 method I am using within the M2 method. So M2 method access specifier is the public. I am using this method in the solution file. Now if I execute the file, then it will come any result or what? Hmm? Result will become whatever we have written in the like m1 method, that will become, we are doing m1 method have the some logic, that logic we are calling, we are using inside the m2 has the public, but m1 has the private we can use within the file only. That's why m1 we are using within the m2, within the m2 method. This m2 method I am calling inside the main method. This is the solution file. Solution file I am taking main method. Under the main method I am calling the m2. I am calling the m2. I will go here and I will compile the file and run java c solution.java. The file has successfully compiled. If you observe, the both the constructor and m1 is calling. M1 is calling. So initially I am taking the m1 here. Now I am taking the m2. I am taking the m2. Whenever you mention the private, you should access within the file only. That's why this m1 method I am using within the m2 method. This m2 method I am passing here. I am calling here. I am calling here. So got the clarity. So here I would say, so under the like public category, classes you should take, we can take the public only. We can take the public. And second point, we can take variables as the, we can take public as a variables. Public as variables. And third one, we can take public as the methods. Public as methods. And fourth one, we can take public as constructors. Public as constructor. So these are the points you should remember under the public category. Public category. And then after that we'll have the private section. So in the private section, if you mention the, instead of public, if you mention the private, then the compiler will give the error. Why? Because the file name and class name should be the same. The file name and class name should be the same. So the first point you should remember, under the private, we cannot take private as the class name. We cannot take the private as the class name. Private as the class name. And then next point, we can take private as the variables. We can take private as the variables. And next point, we can take private as the methods also. We can take private as the methods. And next thing, we can take private as the constructors also. We can take but constructors taking the like whenever you taking the constructor as the private, then the entire file will be created as a one singleton object. So singleton object is the like advanced concept. That is the advanced concept actually. If you mention whenever you mention the private for the constructor, then the entire file will be created as the one object, that is the singleton object. That is the singleton object. So that singleton object will covered in the advanced concept. Singleton. Uh, I will. So this is the example for singleton Java, and this is the example. If you observe this one, the class name is the class singleton, and you can read this one. Constructor name is also singleton, and the access specifier is the private. Access specifier is the private. Access specifier is the private. Whenever you mention the access specifier for the constructor, then the file will be treated as the singleton object. Singleton object. So this is the advanced concept, but this is also very important actually. In the real time, the singleton, like in the real time, no one use the main method. In the real time, like main methods we don't use. With the help of singleton only, we can able to access the files. We can able to access the files. So this is also very important. So that's why I'm saying singleton. So got the clarity about the private. Private meaning it is used to specify the local access of our variables, methods, and constructors. Constructor. We can't take the private as the class name. We cannot take the private as the class name. And next thing, we can take the private as the variables. We can take the private as the methods, and we can take the private as the constructors. We can take the private as the constructors. Now till now, anyone have any confusion? The access specifiers. The access specifiers from here to here. Anyone have any confusion? Access specifiers are used to specify the accessibility of our classes, methods, variables and constructors. We have four types of access specifiers: public, private, protected, and default. And if you go for the first one, public, it is used to specify global access of our classes, our variables, our methods, and constructors. So under the public category, we can take like a class name as a public, and we can take public as a variable, we can take public as a methods, we can take public as a constructor, we can take public as a constructor. And okay, next, private it is used to specify the local access of our variables, methods, and constructors. So in the first point, the class name you cannot take private as the class name. That is the step we should remember. And second thing, we can take the private as the variables, and we can take the private as the methods also. We can take the private as the constructors. So whenever you take the constructors as a private, then the entire file will be created in the singleton object. So in the real time, singleton object is the very important. And like if anyone want to go through it, then we'll have the singleton in Java. We can type this URL. Then you will get the some information about the singleton. This is all about the singleton object. So in the real time, like we don't have any main methods. With the help of singleton objects only you can fetch the data. You can fetch the data. So this is the advanced concept actually. So like if you have the free time, just go through it. And this is about public and private. And the next thing, protected. Protected, like whenever you mention the like I would say the access specifier as a protected, then you can able to access within the package or subclass meaning like we have the inheritance concept. If you want to inherit the properties from parent to child, at that case you can use the protected also. At that case you can use the protected. If you mention the protected access specifier, you can access within the package within the package and we can access the parent properties to child properties also. Child property, I would say these are the points you should remember. Whenever you mention the protected access specifier, we can access within the package we can access within the package and we can access properties from parent properties to child properties. So that is the point you should remember under the protected category. And the next thing is default. If you don't mention any access specifier, then it will give the one access specifier, that is the default one. For the classes, we can take I will take the first point. We can take public or default. For the class names, so this one only valid. Like if you mention the public, then compiler it will accept, or else if you mention the default also, the compiler will accept. Instead of these two, if you mention anything, the compiler don't accept. If you mention the public, then that is also fine. If you mention the default, then that is also fine. Like if you write without taking any access specifier also, if you write the like any sample program, and if you compile the program, if you run the program, then it will compile and it will execute. So for the class name, you should follow this one. Like the class name access specifier always should be the public. All default. Only this you can mention. If you not mention, like if you mention anything instead of these two, then the compiler will throw the error. The compiler will throw the error. So this is all about the access specifiers. Anyone have any confusion? Read the document from here to here, and 1 minute read, 2 minutes read. You can read all the points about access specifiers. Completed. Before going to start the OOPS principles, these are the basics. These are the fundamentals. we should, the first concept we should aware what does it mean by class and what does it mean by object, what is the difference between the class and object. And the second basic is the variables. What does it mean by variable and how many types of variables we have. We should aware each, like how will you access the instance variable, how will you access the static variable, and how will you access the local variable, what is the purpose of instance variable, and what was the process will happen internally, like JVM, how the JVM will treat the instance variable, and how the JVM will treat the static variables, and how the JVM will treat the local variables. These are the process we should aware internally. We should aware internally. And the next thing, methods. Normally methods is used to perform the operations. Perform the operations. Whenever you should aware of the instance variable and static variables, then you will get the clarity about the instance. Instance meaning object creation. You can object creation is possible, like whenever you mention the instance, then you can access with the objects only. In the methods also we have the two types, instance methods and static methods. Instance methods is the object level methods. Static methods is the class level methods. Instance methods you can access with the help of objects. Static methods you can access with the class name. Class name and constructors. Constructors is the special method in Java. It is used to initialize the instance variables. Normally also you can initialize the instance variables, but this is the one way to initialize the instance variables. Without taking the constructor also we can initialize the instance variables, but it is with the help of constructors, that is the one way to initialize the instance variables. Okay, in the constructors, like it is the special method in Java, the same. It is used to initialize the instance variables. And second point, return type. Return type. For the constructors, there is no return type. If you mention the return type, then the compiler will treat it as a method. The compiler, it will treat it like as a method. For the constructor, there is no return type. There is no return type. And method name. Method name, constructor name and class name same. Class name same. Next, parameters. So constructors are categorized into two types. One is zero parameterized constructor. Second one is the parameterized constructor. If you pass any parameters, then you can say this is the parameterized constructor. If you not passed any parameters, then we can say zero parameterized constructors. Zero parameterized constructor. So this is all about the constructors. And then next we have the access specifiers. Access specifiers meaning it is used to specify the accessibility of our classes, variables, methods, and constructors. Under the access specifiers, we have the four types. One is the public, protected, protected, default. Total four: public, private, protected, and default. Public meaning we can access. It is used to access the global access. It is used to specify the global access. Global access. Like further, we can take public as the class name. We can take public as the method name. We can take public as the variable name, and we can take public as the constructor name. Next, private. Private meaning we can access locally. We can access locally. We cannot take the class name as the public. Uh, private. If we take the private, then compiler will throw the error. Next, we can take private as the variables. We can take private as the methods, and we can take private as the constructors. Private as the constructor. So these are the points we can remember under the private section. Private section. Next, these are the very important. Public and private are the very important. Next, protected. Protected, it is used to protected members we can access within the package and subclass. Subclass we can access within the package. If you mention the access specifier as a protected, we can access within the package. In the inheritance concepts also we can use, like if you want to inherit the properties from parent to child, then if you mention the protected, then you can able to access the properties from parent to child. Next, next thing, default. If you not mention any access specifier, then it will defaultly it will take treated as the default access specifier. For the class name, we can take public or default. Both we can take, then the compiler will accept. Instead of public or default, if you take private, then the compiler throws the error. Throws the error. So these are the fundamentals before going to start the OOPS concept. These are the fundamentals. These are all, these concepts also comes under the OOPS only. These are the OOPS basics. These are the OOPS basics. These are the OOPS principles. Encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. These four are the OOPS principles. These four OOPS principles, these all are the OOPS basics. OOPS basics. Got the clarity? These four are the OOPS basics. If you want to start the OOPS, these principles, you should aware of these concepts. Then only you can able to understand the OOPS principles. These four are the OOPS principles, like encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, and abstraction. Okay, we'll see like what does it mean by encapsulation and why the people are introduced the encapsulation like that. So first, encapsulation meaning combining variables and methods as a single unit is called encapsulation. Encapsulation. So the very example, like what is the example for the encapsulation is Java classes. Java classes. Like, is it possible to write any class without taking variables and methods? No, it is impossible. So you should write with variables and methods. So if you observe the definition for the encapsulation also, the purpose of the encapsulation also, combining the variables and methods as a single unit is called encapsulation. If you take any file, you can combining of variables and methods only, you can able to write the logic and all. So for encapsulation example, the best example is the Java classes. Java classes. If you take any Java class, then you can say this is the example for the encapsulation. Encapsulation. Definition for the encapsulation is combining the variables and methods as a single unit is called the encapsulation. Okay, like we'll see, like for example, one member will be there. I will mention the public, the class, and I will mention the employee. And I mean, why the JDK people introduce the encapsulation topic, we'll see one by one. This is the employee class. This employee has the properties like name. I am mentioning like this. I am mentioning public string name. Here I will mention name. I would say Hari is the name. And next thing, public like ID. I will mention the ID, print ID, and my ID card number. Something like 2025 double two. This is the ID. And the next thing, I will mention the public salary. Public salary. I am mentioning data type is the double. I am mentioning some like anything I will mention, like I will mention like this 14,000, like that I will mention. So this is the data. This is the properties belonging to employee person. Employee name is the Hari, and employee ID is the some number 25202522, and like this is the salary, 40,000 is the salary. You can assume like this. You can assume like this. Now, if I mention the variables as the private, then if we have the possibility, then the third party person also can manipulate this one. Why? Because this is the public. This is the public. If the third person, I would say, some other person will manipulate our code, then the program is the security or no security? No security. No security. Public. Whenever you mention the public, if you mention the public, and if you like that is not security. So instead of public, you need to take the private. Private. Any confusion? So if I mention the public, then so the third party person also easily manipulate, and so instead of that one, I will take the private. So if I take the private, then the third party person or anybody don't manipulate. So that's why this is the, I would say, whenever you mention the private, then that is the security. Nobody cannot access the outside the file. Nobody cannot access the outside the file. Okay. So here I will take the like private are the variables, and I'm not passing any data. Here I am just declaring. You can assume like this. You can assume like this. This one also I am salary, and these are the properties for belonging to this person. Belonging to this person. Now, yeah, and for the methods also, like for example, I will tell one example. These are the first variable is the name, second variable is the ID, third variable is the salary. Salary. Now my requirement is I want to transfer, like I will tell, and I will take the another scenario also. I will take the another scenario. Now my requirement, I want to transfer, I want to transfer some amount, like from one person, like Hari is the phone pay, and amount I can say 5,000 rupees, amount 5,000 rupees, and hmm, and this is the from section, and to section I need to mention in the two category. I need to mention like to some another person number like Madhu, and here I will mention the phone pay number. Phone pay number. Here I will mention the phone pay number. Some number I will mention. Some number I will mention, and amount here amount. Amount also I will take 5,000. 5,000. Here also amount phone pay number I will tell like so this is the data. This is the data. This is the from data, and here I will take the one method, that is the M1 method. M1 not M1. I will take the transfer method. Here I will take the transfer method. I will write inside the method. Inside the method, I will write the logic. What the logic should I write? Whenever The person will do the transaction from this from here to here. The logic should contain the logic. The method will debit amount 5,000 amount from this person and 5,000 credit to this person. That logic I will write under the transfer method. Under the transfer method. This is the scenario. So in this case, sum is the one variable. Phone pay number is the one variable. Amount is the variable. So here should I take public or private? And two also one person. And phone pay number also one person number. And amount also variable. These three are the variables, and these three are also variable. So in this case, the variables should I take private or public? Private only. If I take the public, then what will happen? Instead of this phone number, some other third party person will manipulate the data and he will give that guy number. Then what will happen? The amount 5,000 will be transferred to another number. So if the 5,000 will transfer to another number, then we can say no security. No security. So that's why to avoiding those issues, we can declare variables as the private, and we can mention, we can write the logic under the, method, transfer method. Got the clarity? You got the scenario. Variables should be private only. If you not mention the private, then third party person also easily manipulate. Easily manipulate. Then like the transaction will be not secure. The transaction might be hacked. The transaction might be hacked by the third party person as well. So to avoiding those issues, we should declare the variables as the private itself only. Should declare the variables as the private itself. Private itself. So this is the scenario. So variables you should take the private, and here the method will have the logic like debit the amount from this account and credit the amount to this account. So the same logic will be written here. Based on the logic, the method will do operation. It will debit the amount from this account, and the method will credit amount to this account. This account. In the real-time scenarios, you can assume, you can analyze like this way only. We can analyze like this way only. Like the client will tell the requirement normal way. If you connect the call, the client will share the screen, and I want the requirement like from my amount I want to transfer from this person to this person, and you can write the logic and you can show me. You will ask the requirement like this. Then based on the requirement, you can analyze and you should write the program. You can analyze and you should write the program. Yeah, this is the class, and these are the variables actually. So the variables we can access with the help of getters and setters, and I will write the program in the Eclipse as well. Then you will get the clarity. I will open my Eclipse and I will take one employee as an example. Already you have the example, and I will change the perspective to debug to. So last session we discussed about the debugging also. Have you guys tried about the debugging? Right. Okay, this is the employee file. Now I'm deleting all the things. So the same scenario, I will take the string name. I'm just declaring the string name and next int id and next thing double salary. I'm just declaring the variables. I'm just declaring the variables. And you will have the getters and setters methods to get the to get the these variables. We'll have the methods. I getters and setters methods for if you right click over the getters and setters, like if you right click over the file, then you will have the options like sources, and we have the getters and getters method. Generate getters and setters method. So this is the shortcut method for generating the getters and setters. And okay, generate. We can observe this method. This method we have the four scenarios. We have the four scenarios. So which scenario is this one? Return type without parameters. And this one which is the this scenario, non-return type with the parameter. And if you observe this one, which scenario this one, uh, return type is the id and without parameters. And this one, non-return type with the parameters. And if you observe this one, public double get salary, return type is the double and without parameters. And if you read this one, hmm, these three are the instance variables, and these are the methods. Which methods is this? Like instance methods or static methods? Instance methods. Instance methods. So how will you access the instance methods? Creating the object. So we can create the object the same file also, and we can create the object in the different file also. I will create the one object in the different file, basic programs, and I will control N is the shortcut for that one, and I will take the test is the class name. Test is the class name. Here I will take the main method. I will take the main method. If you press the main method, then you will get the main method. And I will take the employee, new employee. So first, we need to set the class name. Set, where is the set? If I mention the set name, here I will mention the some name. The name we need to write, yeah. First we need to set the name. E dot set, E dot set name, and here I will mention the name, like that is the Hari. Okay. And then next thing, E dot get name. So E dot get name should be the sysout statement. Sysout statement. If I save the file, if I save this file, Control S, and if I run this file, we won't get any output. Why? Because the get name should be the in sysout statement, and I will pass the sysout statement here. I will pass the sysout statement here and save the file. Saving the file. If I run the file, then I will get the result. Hurry, and it's the same thing. Like the first thing we need to set ID. Here I will mention the 301 and the same thing. Sysout statement. Here I will mention e dot get name, e dot get id, e dot get id. The same e dot e dot set salary also. Here I will mention some 14,000 I will mention like this, and then I will mention sysout e dot get name, e dot get name, not get name, e dot get salary. E dot get salary double. So if I save the file, then I will get the name, ID, and salary as well, and salary as well. Here I can able to mention like this also, like salary. This is the concatenation. String plus variable, we can say concatenation. And here also I can able to say, employee number, employee ID, employee ID. This is the concatenation, and this is the employee name. Here I will mention the employee name. Save the file. If I run the file, so you can observe the employee name, employee ID, and employee salary. Employee salary. Not only this one, like whatever you written with the help of combining variables and the methods, you can say that is the example for the encapsulation. That is the encapsulation for the encapsulation. This is also an example. So here we are getting and setting the values with the help of getters and setters. With the help of getters and setters methods. With the help of getters and setters methods. This is the encapsulation. So basically, we'll have the variables. These three are the instance variables. These three are the instance variables. Initially, we are declaring three variables. We don't have any values. We don't have any values. So we are getting and setting the values here, and we are passing the values with the help of this method. With the help of this method. With the help of this method. And we are initializing the variables with the help of setName. We are returning the value with the help of getName. With the help of getName. We are initializing the variable with the help of setName method, and we are returning the value with the help of getName method. With the help of getName method. So to mean look into it encapsulation. You can have any queries you can ask.